Hi guys, how are you doing? This is Sebastian from techcentury, and I'm currently battling with the flu, so I should probably be in bed and not make this video. But as you guys probably know, yesterday Apple announced a few more details about the Apple Watch, but also a brand new MacBook. Not just MacBook Air or MacBook Pro, just MacBook. And there seems to be a lot of controversy on the internet and also with different videos that are on the internet or especially YouTube. And so I thought, I can't take this anymore. I have to make a rant style video, so no fancy editing, and I basically only have one take to record this because otherwise my voice will be gone completely. So we'll even skip the intro today and let's get started with the video right now. Now, about this new MacBook, there are a couple of things that nobody complains about. It has a Retina display, 12-inch, which seems really nice, and nobody complains about that. It has 9 hours of battery life, nobody complains about that. But then we get to the processor, and it has an Intel Core M processor. And basically what I've seen on Facebook, on YouTube, even from videos like MKBHDs, who made a great hands-on video, but there was one comment that really bothered me, and that's that he said, and a lot of other people on the internet say, well, this is just a glorified netbook and it has an Intel Core M processor that's made for tablets, and therefore the performance will suck, or something along those lines. Just implying that this is like an Intel Atom netbook from like 3 years ago that retails for like $1,300 or 1,400 euros here in Germany. Now I have a problem with that because if you just do a quick Google search and look for Intel Core M 1.1 GHz, which is the processor that we'll find in this new 12-inch MacBook, then I'll have a quick cheat sheet right here. Then we'll see that this is likely the Intel Core M 5Y70, clocked at 1.1 GHz as I mentioned, and it also has, I believe, the Intel HD 5300 graphics. And if we take a look at benchmarks of this processor, this is not an Intel Atom chip or an equivalent through that. This basically competes with previous generations Intel Core i5 ultra-low voltage chips. So this is comparable to a processor that we'll find in the MacBook Air or other notebooks like that, or maybe even processors that we'll find in the Surface Pro 3. So all this talk, this is just a glorified netbook. It doesn't have enough power to like even install and run Photoshop on it. In my opinion, and looking at these benchmarks, it's complete BS. Because again, in some benchmarks it performs 20% slower than certain Intel Core i5 processors that came before it, but at some it even outperforms them. So performance shouldn't really be an issue. Now of course it's not an Intel Core i7 quad-core processor that you'll find in a gaming notebook or in the 15-inch Retina MacBook Pros, but the notebook is way thinner, way lighter, and doesn't even have a fan. So of course the performance is slower or lower, but then again it's not as bad like an Intel Core, like an Intel Atom chip, sorry about that. So I think just to call this a glorified netbook is completely wrong. And again, those are the reasons that I mentioned. And then people say, well, basically this is a Facebook machine, you can't do anything else with it. And again, I have to disagree. We have 8 GB of RAM on board standard, a 250 GB SSD. So yes, you can run Photoshop, you can run Final Cut Pro, and yes, the performance and the experience probably won't be as good as on a quad-core Mac Pro, but it will still likely be very decent and definitely workable. I mean, in the company that I work at, I know people who are graphic designers as their primary job, and they are working on a 24-inch iMac that's like 7 years old and has an Intel Core 2 Duo processor, and they don't even complain about it. So don't tell me that you can't use such a machine with an Intel Core M that's similar to an Intel Core i5, has 8 GB of DDR3 memory instead of like 4 GB of DDR2 in the iMac, that you can't get work done on those machines and that they are only for Facebook and email. Especially for Photoshop, it should work just fine if you don't have any huge projects. And even then, it'll take a little bit to render, but it should be just fine. And then also in terms of Final Cut. Now I'm not the biggest fan of running Final Cut on such a machine, but I'm using Final Cut for years on my MacBook Pro with Retina display that has an Intel Core i5 dual core. It's not a quad core or anything, and it works. And even other YouTubers, big YouTubers like Austin Evans, he uses an 11-inch MacBook Air, likely with Intel Core i7, but still an 11-inch MacBook Air to edit a lot of his videos. So that should tell us, yes, you can even edit videos in Final Cut on such a machine or in After Effects or whatever, and then it should also work on this new MacBook. So I think in terms of performance, there are just a lot of people who are saying, oh, Intel Core M, the processor is made for tablets, it isn't any good, it's just too slow, and you can't do anything but Facebook. And I think that's just completely wrong. And in addition to that, a lot of people these days, like myself, are making their money basically just by being an editor and writing, or other people who are writing books. And you don't need a Final Cut for that. You basically just need Word or a different word processor or text processor, or you just basically need Safari to actually have the online things like WordPress or Type 3 and other just platforms like that. You don't need a powerful machine for that, and you can make money with this machine. This isn't just about Facebook where you don't make money and just waste your time. You can make money, and I can tell you from my work that I do as a freelance or independent editor, I can do 80% of my work with this machine, with this new MacBook, without any issues. And again, then I make money with this machine, and then this is an investment. So even the high price of around 1,400 euros wouldn't be an issue that keeps me away from the machine. Now I have to look on my cheat sheet again because talking too much again, sorry for that. So I talked about all this performance nonsense that's going around on the internet, at least in my opinion it is. And of course I'm eager to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. As you know me, if you're watching the channel for a long time, I'm not afraid to get dislikes on videos. This is my opinion. If you don't agree, hit the dislike button, leave a comment, and we can definitely continue the conversation down in the comment section. I'm all up for that. And I'm not claiming that I'm 100% right, but just looking at the numbers and the benchmarks, it seems like this will be a decent performing or good performing notebook. Now, next up, one port. Or two ports. Well, it has a headphone jack and a Type-C USB port. And yes, this seems like a very stripped down version just of the MacBook Air, and people basically just now accept that the MacBook Air only has two USB ports, and they say, well, you get ripped off because of all the adapters that you need and so on. And yes, this might be true at the beginning because a lot of hard drives don't have Type-C USB, but the big advantage right here is that USB Type-C is an open standard, or at least a standard that a lot of other companies will incorporate into their notebooks, and there were even the first flash drives announced with USB Type-C. So this is not a Thunderbolt situation where basically only like Intel and Apple or maybe two other companies support this standard. This is a standard that's supported by all the companies that use a USB, and this will be the USB port that we'll see in a few years in all smartphones, tablets, except for Apple of course, and then even now the MacBooks. So I think while this might be an issue right now, just in the long run it won't be at all. And then look at what we can all like use without any cables. We have AirDrop, we have Dropbox, we have just the ability to send attachments via email. We have NAS storage systems that don't need a USB cable and all of those things. So I think it might be an issue right now, but honestly, I didn't cry when Apple removed the DVD drive from the MacBooks or the MacBook Airs, and I'm certainly not going to start crying now because they remove other USB ports and other ports that I never used. And yes, if you still need the full-size USB port, then you can buy an adapter. And yes, at 80 bucks it's incredibly overpriced, but it's USB Type-C, so there will also be adapters from other companies coming, and then you'll likely be able to pick up the adapter for like 10 bucks on Amazon. So I wouldn't really be too worried about that. Now, it certainly makes sense for a lot of people to just wait 1 or 2 years until a lot of adapters and cables are available with USB Type-C, and also to wait for like some starting issues with the new MacBook to be figured out. Maybe there'll be screen burn-in issues. Maybe the trackpad won't work as advertised because it's the new Force Touch trackpad. So it makes a lot of sense, but again, especially if you're somebody who travels a lot, who needs an ultra portable machine, that's even lighter than the MacBook Air and also has a great display, which is one of the main reasons why I never really considered buying a MacBook Air after owning a Retina MacBook Pro, because the screen is so nice, especially if you're working with text all the time, then you can't beat the Retina display. So I think that's a great aspect about the new notebook. And I haven't really fully decided if I'm gonna pick up the new MacBook. It's very likely, especially because it's released 4 days before my birthday. But for 80% of my work, it will be just fine. Now I do need to edit some videos sometimes, so there would probably be a 15-inch Retina MacBook Pro a better solution. But then again, especially with all the new color choices, I think the new MacBook is a great machine. And again, 1,400 euros is a lot of money, but I would personally consider it as an investment. Again, I make money by using my computers, so I don't really have an issue with the price, especially if you get like student discounts or other discounts on top of that. And those are basically just my thoughts about this new MacBook. I hope that my voice isn't too bad, but I also realized that I have to stop talking right now because otherwise I won't have any voice at all anymore. But I still hope that you guys found this video helpful. I think there's just too much bashing going on, especially from a lot of people who haven't even used it or who never even used Macs. I mean, they were like a point going around like, it's like a Chromebook, it doesn't have apps. Yeah, macOS doesn't have any apps, right? Especially, whatever. So I just had to get this off my chest, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say. And I'll quickly edit and upload this video, and then I'll head back to bed, and then we can start the comment wars in the comment section down below. And I'm again eager to hear what you guys have to say. Maybe you think I'm full of crap and I'm just talking nonsense. If that's the case, that's probably just because I'm sick. So thanks for watching, and I really hope to see you next time.